what they mean by centralized here is going to be to consolidate different channels. And I think that's the messaging that most of their competitors had used as well. For example, if you look at Front, they all talk about maybe omni-channel support. I don't know if these guys have not necessarily used the word omni-channel, but that's what they would mean when they say centralized.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. If you're joining for the first time, this is part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday. We review one vendor or the solution. And for today, we have a very popular solution, at least in the Shopify ecosystem. And this one is, I think I have a little misspelling here in this. So I think they are gorgeous, as the name suggests, and they are really pretty. Uh, so that's what we are going to discuss about their strengths and weaknesses. Before we do that, we are going to start with everybody's intros. Quickly about me, Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent vendor agnostic analyst and advisory firm. On that note, Shrestha, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Hi, everyone. My name is Shrestha Das, and I'm working as an industry research analyst at Elevate IQ. Super excited to be here today.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much once again for being here. And if you are in the audience, make sure you guys post your questions, comments, any sort of stories that you have related to this solution. We always like to create this three-way conversation. So looking forward to hearing those. On that note, Shrestha, I know that you have done many different reviews now with us, and these guys obviously they would fall in that customer service category. And I'm actually going to move to the next slide where we have some details. So they are really into that customer service category, and customer service. When you look at the overarching bucket, it's probably going to fit in that CRM bucket. At least in my mind, if you look at the overarching pillars of CRM, you are going to have the sales, marketing, customer service, a little bit of customer engagement as well. And customer engagement is part of this bucket too. So now when you look at Gorgias, where they sort of fit in, and sometimes, I mean, there might be a little overlap between them and the e-commerce as well. E-commerce generally has very different needs, I would say, for the customer service. The kind of transactions they are going to have are going to be very different in general. So here, and I guess in the Shopify ecosystem, we saw many different themes. For example, let's say I don't know whether you recall this or not, but if you look at solutions such as your MailChimp, I believe, and Klaviyo, they had very tight integration with Shopify, and that's what you are going to find with most solutions that are super successful either in Shopify ecosystem and Shopify BigCommerce. They are fairly comparable overall in terms of the ecosystem as well as the capabilities. So those two are definitely going to be there. I guess these guys are also present in that Adobe Magento ecosystem as well. So I guess the secret sauce is going to be that Shopify embeddedness. But they have some other capabilities. For example, the AI automation and AI automated workflows. When you look at these workflows, they matter a lot more for e-commerce workflows. And the reason for that is because if you are looking for cutting edge customer service, unless you are hiring people from offshore, maybe in the Philippines, etc., the customer service is probably not going to be as great as what people like to see, let's say, in North America, right? So then that is going to be a slightly lower cost. But when you are working with these premium brands, obviously the brand looks really good from the website perspective, but they also need to provide the customer service. But they don't necessarily have margin to support that kind of customer service, to hire customer service staffs in the US, or Canada, or any other developed countries, I guess. So this is where I guess the AI automated workflows are really powerful. And that's why these guys are super powerful as well, because they not only have the embeddedness, but then they are able to save a ton of money, for these customer service workflows. And sometimes these customer service workflows are going to be very rudimentary questions from the shoppers. They are going to have questions about product, size, color, style. I don't know, million questions, and we all know how consumers are. They are never going to spend a penny, and they are going to ask a million questions. The cost increases when you talk about these questions, right? The consumers generally don't think about that, but if they are not going to respond, they are generally going to get bad reviews. So there are unique problems in the consumer space, and that's why the AI automation matters. We are going to see a lot more AI automation, AI agents in this particular space for these use cases. Now, some people might argue that the AI agents that they have might not be the kind of AI agents that we are going to see because of generative AI. So even though they are branding them, and everywhere they are saying that they have AI agents, but if you look at their reviews right now, I don't think they have rolled out the real AI agents that other bigger companies are working on. For example, Salesforce, etc. They might get there. Everybody's gonna get there, but today, whether they have it or not is a question. As of today, what they have done is at least they have figured out the branding, the pricing, the bundle. The customers sort of understand what it is. They might not have the real capabilities, but at least the logistics is there to be able to promote once they get there. So that's a very strong sign in general that they are able to create the need before the product is ready. And I think we are going to see similar use cases in other industries, and the other companies are going to do this as well. In general, the customer service category is probably the first one that is going to see the majority of the AI agent centric use cases, and e-commerce is probably going to be the first one, just because of the kind of margins they have in that. Now, their background, I guess, I mean, they really started in that Shopify ecosystem, and Shopify is a very unique beast. The kind of companies that are there in that ecosystem, they simply hang out in those. Yes, they are going to hang out in some other, commerce ecosystem as well, but just Shopify itself is pretty big ecosystem to be able to penetrate. And the other vendors, even if they are going to be more popular, for example, let's say if you talk about Zendesk or Freshdesk, ServiceNow, these are big players, but they might not have as much presence in the e-commerce space just because of that connectedness that we have from the workflow. Now, overall, the competing categories that you are going to find, I think they are going to be compared with a lot of different solutions that they have in the Shopify ecosystem, but then they are also being compared with other customer service categories, and those are going to be obviously the Zendesk, Freshdesk, ServiceNow. These three are probably going to be there. But then you have other players who have, a presence in this space. Salesforce, HubSpot, all of those are going to have some sort of customer service module as well. But then the module is not going to be as good. Now, when you look at the e-commerce customer service workflow, there are some unique players that are going to be very similar to your, you know, Gorgias. And in this case, this is going to be customer gladly, and intercom, rich panel, and then re-amaze. And I think we have reviewed front as well, and front is going to be for this use case too, and they are very well present in the Shopify ecosystem, even though they have slightly different messaging offering. They are fairly big company as well. So obviously that is very well used in the Shopify ecosystem along with your Gorgias. So industries where you're going to find is going to be e-commerce and DTC. Those are probably the industries where you would find them most. So for this analysis, we have utilized customer stories, product design analysis. We don't necessarily have as many historical stories. They are just not as, I would say, present in the PR game. So I don't know, other similar companies have done a lot more. So I don't know if they are a as relevant SaaS player as the other companies, but hopefully they are going to get there. I don't know how funded they are. Sometimes that is very hard to find for the private companies as well. And Shopify is actually an investor in this company, but I don't know how much investment they have done in this and how committed they are overall from the product perspective, from the roadmap perspective. Overall, I guess Shopify is also invested in Klaviyo, which is also a very similar offering, but I don't know if these guys are going to be their preferred, provider. I mean, Front is going to be fairly known player in this particular space as well. I don't know if they are preferred too. So those are some of the questions that you might want to do further research on. Then we have the competitor pages and the Reddit pages. Those are the only sources that we could find for this analysis. So now, overall, I guess some of these strengths and weaknesses, and among these, I guess the only ones that we have done so far is Zendesk and Freshdesk. So if you are interested in a deeper dive in those solutions, check our YouTube channel and you can search based on Zendesk plus Elevate IQ, Freshdesk plus Elevate IQ. Front is also going to be there. We have reviewed Front too. Front plus Elevate IQ on our YouTube channel is probably the easiest way to find these reviews. If you're not able to find, you can ping any of us and we'll be more than happy to send you the link. Now, we have not reviewed customer so far. Hopefully, we'll get there one of these days. We have too many solutions that we are reviewing. So here, I'm going to provide quick overview in terms of, from the lenses of, Gorgias. So here, obviously, with Gorgias, you are going to find the Shopify integration. That is the biggest differentiator that they have. Zendesk is probably going to have really weak integration. They might claim that they have integration, but they are only going to exchange data. The workflows are not going to be as intertwined as you are going to find with the likes of Klaviyo's, and MailChimp has that integration as well. You can literally find the triggers that you are going to have in the other systems, and then those you can invoke in these systems as well. So that's the interconnectedness that you have from the Shopify integration perspective. Obviously, designed for e-commerce, and e-commerce is going to have very unique workflows. So customer service for e-commerce is going to be very different. And again, if you're looking for that, then this is going to be a great fit. You might struggle with Zendesk, Freshdesk, etc. in e-commerce use cases. Front is also very well adopted in the e-commerce use cases. So Front is probably going to be good. And then they also are very strong in AI capabilities. But then Zendesk is investing substantially with AI as well. We could find in their, press releases, plus their, I guess they had the financial statements as well. I guess we could find that information that they are heavily invested in that. But obviously, their main focus is not going to be e-commerce, and that's where the real differentiator is for Gorgeous. That's pretty much it. I'm not gonna go very deep into this. Maybe I can touch on some of the cons as well. So from the cons perspective, one of the things that you're going to find consistently in the reviews is that their AI capabilities might be a little bit of a challenge. Even though it sounds good on paper, in reality, it might not be. It does get expensive, especially when you talk about the AI capabilities. So initially, the initial price is going to be very cheap, but then cost add up substantially anything that is there in the Shopify ecosystem. And then again, if you are going to have a hybrid business model, if you are pure play DTC e-com, then this is probably going to be okay. But let's say if you are going to be in industrial verticals, etc., where you have a lot more complexity from the product perspective, this might not be the best fit. That's pretty much it on this. I'll keep moving here. So these are some of the historical stories, and this is coming from 2020. And in 2020, and again, it's a very new company. They started in 2020. Can you believe this? In 2020, they had raised roughly 25 million, which is not a lot, for Series B round, and they are saying fundraising total to more than 40 million, and the valuation is going to be roughly 300 million, which is in line. So again, everything that is going to be there in Shopify ecosystem probably has $1 billion valuation. So this is pretty close. I mean, they started in 2020, but then I guess they have raised some more. So we'll look at that. But then they are saying, Gorgias supports more than 4,500 online stores, including, and again, look at the size of the store. So, for example, Steve Madden, and my assumption here is going to be that they are doing this at the corporate level. This is not deployed at the department level, so that's a big deal. The things that they are able to. And Steve Madden is a fairly large brand. We have other ones as well. For example, some of the ones that are going to be really big are probably Electrolux as well. Other ones, I don't know how big they are, but they seem pretty decent. So all of them are either e-commerce, GTC centric brands. Electrolux is probably going to be appliance, I believe. Uh, yeah, so we have that as well. But again, very e-commerce business model. They have a little comment here. They are saying we started with a help desk to centralize support. Now, centralized could have many different meanings, so you might need to read between the lines there. I don't know what centralized mean here, what kind of centralization we are talking about. But if you are talking about centralized support from the customer perspective, you can definitely do that using this tool, at least for the e-commerce channels. Other channels, I don't know if you are able to incorporate those as well. If you have complex business models, there could be challenges. This is pure play e-commerce when you are going to be as part of the Shopify channel. There, this is probably going to be good. But I think what they mean by centralized here is going to be to consolidate different channels. And I think that's the messaging that most of their competitors had used as well. For example, if you look at Front, they all talk about maybe omni-channel support. I don't know if these guys have not necessarily used the word omni-channel, but that's what they would mean when they say centralized. Okay, so now we have some more comments here. They are saying global e-commerce has never been more popular with nearly $800 billion in e-commerce revenue in the US this year. And again, I don't know if this is as exciting, I would say. At least right now, e-commerce, it was exciting back in during COVID days, but I don't know if that is as exciting. So, and again, these comments are coming around those days, which is roughly what 2020, which is reasonable, but again, it's not as hot. They are saying by building a leading contact center solution just for e-commerce, and that's how they have positioned themselves. Gorgias can provide roughly what 4x to 10x the value of a more generic one size fits all solution. And again, value could be subjective. I mean, there is definitely value from the AI agent perspective, whether it is going to be 3x, 4x, 5x, I don't know. You do the math. There's definitely value here. Then they are saying this has turbocharged their growth over 200% in the past 12 months. That is very commendable. And we are super proud to be investors in every round. So this is coming from investors. They really like this kind of growth. Okay. So now these are customer stories. And in this particular case, they are talking about this is Bua. And they are saying Gmails, and they were on Gmail before. Lack of macros, automation, and analytics challenge the support team. So imagine the kind of customers these are. For the most part, every commerce company or the BTC company, they are probably going to start with some sort of Gmail is where they do the support. Obviously, Gmail they are going to outgrow Gmail quickly, and that's where your this solution comes in. But again, even though it is going to be really easy to use, easy to adopt, but it might not be as robust as what you are going to find in other slightly richer tools, for example, Zen. But from the e-commerce perspective, this is probably more than enough that you are. Then they are saying shuffling between Windows for email, Shopify, and key e-commerce tools hindered efficiency and delayed customer response and resolution times, often taking between 3 to 5 days. And that's the impact that they are talking about. Consumers, especially when you talk about consumers, their expectation is that you are going to have instant response, but to produce that, obviously you need to hire army of customer support reps that are probably working 24/7, and that's where I guess their pitch is of the autonomous support that they are able to provide. Again, I don't know if this is real generative AI, but they are able to do a lot, at least from the macro perspective, is what they are saying, which might not be true AI, but close enough, I guess. At least they are able to serve them. Then they are saying since the benefits of freeze and air dried fruit and that's their product that they are selling, are not widely known. Bua support team handles many product related questions, and again, depending upon how niche your product is going to be, if that is not a common product, obviously that's why these guys are able to charge premium. They are able to charge much higher price because these products may not be available anywhere else, but then you are going to get tons of questions as well. So they are saying Bua used Gmail for customer support before adopting a help desk, requiring constant tap shuffling between email threads, Shopify, and their ERP system. And this is where that connection is coming from, the interconnectedness that you have between Shopify and Gorgias. That is just very unique, that you are not going to find with the other tools. So here, um, for example, let's say if you are doing this in Gmail, you're never going to have that. Now, ERP is a very tricky topic. The kind of data model ERP has, it might be harder to replicate the same experience that they are able to do using Shopify and Gorgias. Even if you are going to have a slightly commerce friendly ERP systems, for example, NetSuite, even with NetSuite, it's probably going to be hard to replicate the same experience using the webhooks and feed the data. And if you are going to do that, you are probably going to run into challenges. So again, I don't think it's going to be as seamless with ERP, but they are saying that it's probably is. But depending upon which ERP system they are referencing to. Then they are saying as the brand and ticket volume grew, the 3% support team had less bandwidth to personalize each customer interaction. And again, 3% team, when you look at, those are very small teams, so very small company in general. So that is one of the variable that you have, that, okay, customer stories that we are going to talk about, do they have really big customers or are they relatively small? The major sample size is probably going to be. Then they are saying, okay, the kind of questions that they are getting is, where is my order? Are your products organic? Super basic questions, and these are great use cases for AI. You don't need human for these questions. Just too expensive. And then you have integrations with Shopify, Klaviyo, Loyalty Line, Reviews.io, and social media channels to centralize customer support data and interactions. And you are probably going to need a lot of moving pieces there in the Shopify ecosystem. So you are going to need all of that. But again, these are all very front end centric channels. Loyalty is going to be the loyalty. Again, Shopify uses a lot of add-ons. Reviews.io is going to be for reviews. And then you have social media channels as well. Sometimes inquiries are going to be there too. And that's where you are sort of centralizing. Okay, here they are saying as Pepper scaled internationally toward $80 million in sale, and that is decent, but again, relatively smaller, I would say. Overall, in terms of the kind of companies that we review and the logos, for example, for Zendesk, you are going to have companies that have billions of dollars in revenue. Here we are talking about 80 million. So again, a relatively smaller sample size, I would say, so far at least. The team needed to handle more conversations and maintain excellent customer experience, immediate answers to basic product sizing, style, fit questions. And again, these questions are great candidate for AI. So again, we are seeing a little theme here in the majority of their customer stories. The kind of questions they are getting are very big. They are saying they have implemented AI agent to offer immediate support, but again, these are macros. I don't know how AI-ish are they going to be, is to be a question. Then they have some claims here. They are saying they reduced operational cost, increased conversion rates, and freed up agents for high touch interactions like virtual fitting consultations. And if you have those scenarios, that could be very interesting. And again, that's where I think you have impact on the conversion rate. You are reducing the lead time. So in my mind, that's still a lot of value in general. Then they are saying Pepper needed to automate repetitive support in product inquiries. And again, these questions are very basic, without increasing operational cost by hiring new agents or outsourcing support to a BPO. And again, BPO model was very common. Now they are able to manage by these tools. So that's where the real value is. We would have to have had to expand our BPO contract by at least 25K, which is not as high amount in general. So again, these are relatively smaller companies and they are not spending as much on these tools. Then they are saying, for example, a shopper asked, "What's the difference between a limitless wire, free, something like that?" So again, very basic questions, very good candidates for AI. One more, and again, this is the jewelry brand, and it's going to have very similar theme as well. again, very e-commerce, DTC centric business. Shoppers turn to Caitlin Minimalist for special gifts that often require a little extra communication with the brand to make sure they get it just right. With that comes an increase in tickets for the team to manage, roughly what, reaching 30,000 each month. 30,000, that's a decent amount. Even though these businesses are going to be smaller size, that's a lot of tickets. I don't know how many tickets an agent can handle in a day. My assumption is going to be maybe 15 minutes per ticket. And if they are doing 15 minutes, then you have roughly what, 8 hours in a day, and maybe 32 tickets. And in a month, maybe 600. So look at how many agents you are probably going for this. That's a lot. That's a lot. So there's a huge value. And again, I don't think you can shut down those questions because consumers are going to ask million questions, even though they are barely paying $10. So, and they are saying AI agent personalizes each conversation by pulling information from the website, customer profiles, and that's where the real value is. And in this, even if you're going to have a little problem with AI may not be as perfect, but even then, I don't think you have much to lose. So that's where, in my mind, I think this is a great candidate for AI. And then they have some more comments. The longer lead times and a special intention behind each order mean customers follow up on their order status more frequently than other brands. In my mind, again, that's huge value there. So they have seamless integration with Shopify allows AI agent to use customer information like order history to provide personalized support. We have already discussed that. That's the huge value add for them. If a customer asks for an order update, AI agent pulls information like the customer order, date, purchase details, and shipping policies to provide a detailed, accurate response. And again, this is great, and that's what I guess. Let's say if you were using likes of Zendesk, Freshdesk, it might struggle a little bit in doing that, and that's what is very easy with Gorgias, and that's why it is so popular in the Shopify ecosystem. So one more story here. The ticket volume is lower. So here they are saying 3,600 each month. The lean customer support team needed a more efficient way to resolve the large influx of tickets while keeping customer satisfaction high. They are based in Germany, so they have some presence in Europe as well. It's not just North America, but for this kind of tool, I don't know if the international presence matters. I really don't know if there are going to be any geo-specific needs for something like this. And again, this is a supplement brand, which would again fall under that e-commerce bucket. So they are saying supplement brand committed to providing a holistic approach to supporting gut health. Again, that's their product. The help center was a point of friction in the customer experience. Previously, when customers navigated to the help center to find FAQs, they were redirected to a portal hosted outside the brand's website. This led to high bounce rates and created a confusing experience for shoppers. And that's where the real value is, when you have the real time interaction on the same site, as opposed to going to FAQ and then finding the answers, and they're not going to find, and they are probably going to move away to somebody else. Then you have some more comments here, and they are saying support agents also struggle to use macros efficiently. That was their problem. So macros were not as good, I guess. And they are offering multi-language support as well. The team needed better naming conventions to see the macros language and customer pain point. The macros also didn't effectively use variables, requiring a new macro for each scenario. So I guess they had a lot of problems, and again, their macros are really effective. Again, whether that is going to be an AI or not, that's going to be a question. But macros where the real power is. Okay, so this is the kind of these are the screenshots from their product, and this is the kind of interconnectedness that we are talking from the Shopify perspective, and they are able to do this because of that webhooks technology. And again, this is a very similar theme that we have seen with most of the products that are part of the Shopify ecosystem, and customers absolutely love this experience because they are getting that interconnectedness. This might be much more difficult. Let's say if you had the data model that is going to be tighter, for example, other transactional applications will not be a lot of them. And now these are different macros. So I don't see how this is AI. this is a very rule based engine. It's still very powerful in terms of what they are able to do, but again, this is not AI. So I think that's where I'm probably going to disagree with them. But again, this is a great candidate for the real generative AI agents. Here, you are able to manage these rules. So the rules are very easy to configure and provide autonomous responses. But again, I don't think this is okay. And these are different competitor pages. So let's touch on them a little bit. So this one is, Zendesk, and their claim is that, hey, Shopify is an investor in, Gorgias, and our entire platform has been built around Shopify from the very beginning. That is true. That's their real deal. Zendesk is built for airlines, hospitals, and software companies. Sure, Zendesk is probably going to be used there, but Zendesk is definitely used with many other companies as well as industries too. So that might be a partial list. Um, I don't know how much Zendesk is used in the e-commerce setting. So e-commerce, they definitely. So I'll give them that, I guess. Then they are saying, it provides a customizable Shopify sidebar, macros with Shopify actions. And that's where the real power is, those macros with Shopify actions. And then you have the sidebar as well, which is very powerful. And that's the secret sauce of most of the Shopify ecosystem applications. And they are saying revenue visibility generated from customer support. And then they have Zendesk only syncs basic Shopify data, requiring more time and effort per ticket. That may be true. It might be much harder for Zendesk to be able to sync the amount of data that Gorgias is able to do, and they might be able to do a lot more in general. Do I have anything else on this side? Yeah, I don't think I have anything else, so I'll keep moving here. Uh, this is also from Zendesk, and they are saying Zendesk does not offer pre-built actions to automate under order updates, and its generative AI cannot answer emails. Um, so this is a great comment. For sure, they are probably not going to have pre-built actions. So I agree with that comment. But generative AI, I would say email, they are probably not going to be as powerful as what these guys are able to do, just because email is going to be a channel for Gorgias. With Zendesk, the experience is not going to be as seamless as what is happening here. Generally, the agents are going to respond to emails. But again, I don't know if it is generative AI as of today. They might be able to easily replace that with generative AI maybe in the future. But today, I don't know if that is. But again, this is where you can see the power. They have changed this more from the branding perspective, and this is where your generative AI use cases are going to be extremely powerful. E-commerce brands spend extra on heavy custom development for deeper automations, and that may be true. Yeah, I don't have anything else here. I'll keep moving. Now, there are some comments related to their pricing. So this is also coming from their competitor pages. And here they are saying Gorgias start at roughly what, $10 per month for 3 agents. So one thing as a buyer, you need to keep in mind is assess how many agents you are going to need. For the most part, my assumption here is going to be that each agent is a workflow if then else loop. So you are going to come up with like a million support scenarios that you need to have. So the price could add up, even though they are saying $10 per month for 3 agents, but depending upon how many scenarios you are going to have. So those many agents you are probably going to need. So understand how their agents are configured and how their pricing is configured. And that is ever changing. They can change at any point of time. So that's the risk that you always have. Even if today, their pricing may be friendly, but tomorrow it might get changed. So that's always a risk with any consumption based pricing. But what you are going to notice is the other competitors have even trickier pricing. So for example, I guess this is the comparison with customer. So customer also charges 0.75 cents to roughly what, 45 cents per conversation. Can you believe, per conversation? And I absolutely hate conversation centric pricing, and I'll tell you why. Even if you're going to have some sort of DDoS attack, you are probably going to get billed for that. That could be trickier. I don't know how relevant this scenario is in this, but it could fire back, is the point I'm trying to make here. when you have the conversation centric pricing. I would rather have agent centric pricing than conversation centric pricing. I'm generally not a big fan of consumption based pricing, and I have shared my feelings during Acumatica episode. I don't know. I mean, whoever is doing consumption based pricing, it's great for the vendors. I don't know how great that is for the customers. There is a lot more uncertainty associated with that. And then you have many more layers with customers. A customer is the product, and they are saying charges per user and resolution. So you have two layers of pricing. Again, personally, me, I like to see simplified pricing. This one is a little bit more complicated than what I personally like to see. And again, in my mind, again, customer is far more complicated, and that's a point that they are trying to make. So I will have to agree with that. This one is another comparison. So I think this is coming from Gladly, and Gladly's AI product Sidekick requires you to create a step-by-step rule for every interaction, whereas it only slightly rewords your pre-scripted answers. Sidekick charges, again, this is a conversation-based pricing. So again, I'm not a big fan of that. So they are probably going to get negative from my side. Even Gladly, even if it does not resolve the ticket. Can you believe that? So if a customer is doing, maybe, I don't know, some customers are really mean, and they could have like tens and sometimes 20 and hours of support, and you are actually getting charged for that, and that's a bigger issue in my mind. If you're simply spending hours, then it's a different case. But in this case, you are also getting charged, by these bots. Then they are saying minimum cost for Gladly is roughly what 22K. Can you believe this? 22K with 10 agent minimum. So most likely Gladly is probably going to be the enterprise product. They might have some of the enterprise centric features, but again, even Gorgias might get there depending upon how their pricing is done. So again, do a little TCO analysis, ROI analysis before you commit for the contract. Then they are saying large teams can face huge bills at roughly what 210 per agent, especially when scaling up for busy seasons. That's heavy pricing, I would say. And again, 210 per user is not as bad because you're not going to have as many employees, but per agent. And I don't know what defines an agent is the question that you should be asking. They are saying they are enterprise ready, and they have multi-brand, multi-language, which is going to be a need in this space. So that's huge. And for the customer support, I think they have a claim here. They are saying that 250 largest stores on Shopify choose Gorgias, and that is likely based on the logos that we have seen with them. But the largest Shopify store is probably going to have $1 billion in e-commerce sales, I guess, which is decent. But again, I think Zendesk, Freshdesk, they have much larger logos in my mind. So some more comments from the Reddit pages. So this is coming from 1 year ago. So obviously it's slightly recent. So here they are saying, I was wondering if anyone had any feedback from their experience of using the automation add-on for Gorgias and the cost also involved, since the price structure changed significantly a few months ago. Is that causing any issues? And the response of that is also 1 year ago, and they are saying, I love Gorgias, but I find the automation to not work as well as they claim. So you have feedback right here, and this is not the only person who complained about it. There are more comments. You can do your own research on Reddit, user forums, etc. So there is the automation is not going to be as slick, as smooth, even though it's a pretty good product. And they are saying you are better off taking advantage of the custom macros rather than relying on the automated responses. So I guess the point here is going to be of the price point, the amount that they are charging for the automation versus you building your own custom macro that you can do it. And I don't think you are going to pay as much. So I think that's what this user is trying to say. And generally, in our experience as well, if you just don't have any technical skills, then sometimes it could be easier to use automated responses. But then you are going to be constrained by the model, however that model is designed, and they might not be customizable. So that's where I guess this person is complaining about. And this is the trend that we have seen with the other products as well, when they are going to be pre-baked, pre-built, but with constraints. So yeah, so this person is complaining about that. Okay, this is brutal. He's saying that, and saying we have been using Easel AI and they have been going great for us when looking around for an alternative, just because we are reviewing our budgets. And I don't know, I mean, we don't have any comments on Easel.ai, and I don't know how credible this comment is. So we'll skip that. So here they are saying maybe just me, but I am paranoid about not owning customer data. So this person does not like not owning customer data, which could be a fair concern, I would say, including messages form responses. So I hate they sneakily push you to use their email servers as opposed to our Gmail. You can manually switch back through, which is what I have done. And again, I think they are trying to push their server. So I think there is going to be a little conflict between them and Klaviyo. Most likely you are going to use both. So I don't know who's going to host the emails. Once you hand over the control, I don't know how effective that is going to be in working with Klaviyo. So there is a little tension between vendors. So again, figure out the architecture in terms of what are going to be the implications. So you might need to do a little bit of research there in terms of what is going to be the right model. In general, I would agree with this user. If you have your own control, at least on emails and data, that should be the preferred approach. But I don't know how smooth the integration and the communication is going to be. So that's probably going to be a challenge if you don't hand over the control to them. I think the automations are a huge rip off. So this is the second user that has commented on this, and you can achieve the same result with macros and SAD filters. So again, I think people are not appreciating the existing automation. So that's the complaint. And then we have overall for $70 a month for just basic customer service ticket aggregation. I'm not at all impressed, and I cannot wait to switch to something better. So again, $70 a month is nothing. But this person is still complaining. So for the most part, I guess they are relatively small. That could be a possibility. They just don't have appetite to pay. That's how it seems. Now this comment is coming from 5 years ago, and in this they are saying they seem to have the tightest Shopify integration. So this is a validation where we were researching options 8 months ago. Overall, have been happy with them, but haven't used the other options, so cannot compare. That is right. I mean, they do have the tightest Shopify integration. That is their secret sauce. This is also coming from 5 years ago, and they are saying we use it and love it. Prior to this, they were using Zendesk. So this is the comparison prior user of Zendesk with a bunch of plugin to get it to work with Shopify. And that would be my understanding of how Zendesk would work. It's definitely not going to be as so. If you care for that Shopify interconnectedness, and again, if you are going to have issues with integration, most likely your AI agents may not be as effective. Even if you're going to have those capabilities, maybe AI agents are going to be slightly better in terms of retrieving data. But as of today, I guess Gorgias is probably going to be better for these users. And that's it. For this review. Shrestha, do you have any comments?
Not nothing as such, but I think it's a small company right now, and they are still growing. So I'm excited to see what improvement they are bringing.
Yeah, but they have a lot of logos and they are relatively newer in the market, I would say. So what they have done is definitely commended. More
Yeah.
comments?
No.
Okay, perfect. So that's a wrap, guys. If you joined for the first time, this was part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are going to be here next week. We are going to come back with another vendor or the solution. On that note, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.